In this video, I'm going to be talking about indicators versus price action. Which one do I think is the best? Which one do I think is best for newer traders? Which one do I use in my trading? Which one do I prefer to use? And the different purposes that they serve. So I think when you first start trading, well, if you're anything like me, when I first started trading, I think there is a bit of a false hope that there's some kind of magical indicator which is going to tell you to buy and sell at the exact right point. And all you have to do is try all of the indicators, play around with it, and then eventually you're going to find one that on the right setting, it tells you exactly when to enter and when to exit. So it turns out that that is obviously not true. If that was true, then obviously the word would have got out and everyone would be using it. The thing with indicators is they're often lagging, so they're often based on past performance, and they can be used as a tool to help you make decisions in the market. But to the best of my knowledge, there isn't an accurate buy-sell indicator. Although if you do know about one, then please comment below and let us all know, because that would be awesome. From my experience so far, they are pretty much based on lagging. There are some which are arguably leading indicators, but even then, it's not necessarily them saying buy here, sell here. It's just a matter of you interpreting it in a way so that you can make those decisions. So if you are brand new to trading and you have no idea what I'm talking about, what an indicator is, what leading is, what lagging is, what price action is, then I'm going to cover all of the basics for you. So this is for beginners and for intermediate traders or even advanced traders as well. So if you're not sure what's better for your trading between indicators and price action. So indicators are tools which traders use. Often they use an algorithm and they're presented in a certain way, and they can help to give us an idea of what the market's doing and different ways in which it's working. So for example, let's go into indicators in TradingView. And I'm just going to pick the average true range, which is one that I use all the time. What the average true range does is it tells you how much the market has moved. And why this is useful is obviously because if we get an idea of how far it has moved, we get an idea of how far it's likely to move. So that can help us to navigate, how much we want to be invested in a certain trade in a certain day and for how long we think it's going to carry on going for. So it's a really useful indicator. I think it's one of the best indicators, to be honest. I use it all the time. I think it's excellent for stop losses. I think it's excellent for timing your trade. There are heaps of other ones as well. So, I mean, relative strength index is obviously a very popular one as well. This tells you when the market's overbought or oversold. So it can give you an idea of when to buy and sell. Although it can do this, it's not 100% accurate. So it's funny, when you look at it in back testing, it usually almost looks 100% accurate. But then when you're forward testing, obviously there are some nuances to it. So I'm hovering my cursor over here. So do you see when it hits this 70 point here? You can see that's when the market starts to go down. I know that for a new trader, this looks like it's the holy grail, because you can see here when it hits almost that 30 point, you can see the market starts to move up there. And then when it hits nearly 70, it starts to move down. Obviously, this point here, you can see it's hit 30 and then it's carried on moving down because it's got really strong momentum. So this is a great example of when it didn't work perfectly. And obviously, if you started to buy the second that it hit there, you'd be in a lot of trouble. But it can be a very useful tool to flag up when you might want to start looking for a reversal. There are so many indicators, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of indicators that you can play around with. And they all give you different ideas of different things. So they're very useful in your trading. I love indicators. I think there's a lot of really good ones. There's a lot of terrible ones. So obviously you don't want to go down the rabbit hole of using a terrible one, but there are some very good indicators. And I think when traders get a little bit snobby about only using price action, I wouldn't pay too much attention to that if you're someone who is naturally drawn to indicators, because they can actually provide a lot of really useful information. So I think it's perfectly acceptable to be using indicators to help you navigate your trades. Price action, on the other hand, is when you're just looking at the chart. So you're just looking at how the candles move on the chart. So it's basically any action which is taken on price. So for example, that would be things like support and resistance lines. So for example, this is a line here, which I've put as a support level. So what we'd be doing is looking for something to happen around this level, either a break or a reverse or an accumulation. And also things that are included in price action is the length of the candle, how the candles move. So do they have a lot of wick on them? And are they moving in channels? Are they moving in trends? All of these things are price action trading. And so this is where I think that indicators are useful, and I think that price action is useful. I actually think, I said at the beginning, I'd tell you which one I preferred or which one I think is better for newer traders. And the truth is, I actually think they can be used in conjunction with each other. They're just used slightly differently. So I actually think that indicators, and obviously it depends which indicator, because there's so many of them and they're used for different things. But I think a lot of indicators can actually be used as the first sign that you're flagging up that something's going to happen in the market. Obviously, you don't start trading on the first sign that you see something happening in the market. You obviously have to wait for confirmation and get that exact precision of entry. So I think that indicators can often be a really great first signal that there might be a trade coming up. And often price action is actually a really strong precision of entry. And that's because you get so much detail in the candle movement, and you can see so much detail as to the route that the candle's been in over that time period. So I think often that exact entry can be taken from candles, from price action, but we also get a lot of other information, such as the first sign, from indicators. And also I think sometimes setting your stop losses and take profits according to indicators can also be really useful. So to conclude, I think both price action and indicators can be really useful for your trading. I think that they can work alongside each other, and I think that they serve different purposes. If you found this video useful, make sure you give it a little thumbs up. It's good for the YouTube algorithm, and it means I can carry on creating this free content.